Stop worshiping false gods. 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 Okay, this is September 21st, 2017. Yalak here again, and this is the second or the final part to the recording I did with GDASH the Prophet. And as I mentioned before, that I was going to do the rest of it because the other one had just gone so long in trying to cover as much of his teaching as I was trying to point out that I stopped. And I was supposed to do the rest. I got a little bit busy and misplaced the notes. But from the comments that people were making and so on, I thought, eventually, after a while, I couldn't find the notes. I said, I'll just leave it alone. But then from the comments people were making, I decided, you know what? I'll just go ahead and make the other part, because some people still are not understanding, and some of the simple-minded ones are just saying you're hating on GDASH the Prophet, and why would you put his name in your video? Listen, when people start making videos with my name in it, I'm not going to ask them why they put my name in it. All right? And look at the different Israelites you see making videos online. Did they first get permission to put somebody else's name in their video? What you are also not aware of, and what you don't take into consideration, is that you yourself, I'm talking about those cursing me out, but in particular this one person who cursed me out, you are not, you were not there when these people, not GDASH now, because it was not GDASH. Like I said, I just met him when his video was recommended to me, but I'm just saying them in general, or they in general. You were not there to speak for me when these people saw my teachings online and they realized the New Testament is Fake series was going steady, like I'm not going to stop it real soon, and I was hitting different points and the people are getting upset, and so they wanted to stab at me and try to stop me anyway, to discredit me and so on. You were not there to speak for me when they were lashing out at me, calling me names, telling me I'm going to hell, calling me dirty names, stuff like that, and all kinds of other stuff that they said to me. You just weren't there to speak up for me, but you're speaking up for GDASH. At least he has somebody to speak for him. I never had anyone to speak for me. The problem with this is that you were not aware that they were doing it to me, these long-standing camp members who loved Jesus and was teaching about him. You were not there to hear what they were doing to me, to witness it, because they are too scared, so they did it silently and behind the scenes. At least I was man enough, with guts enough, to put GDASH name out there and say it was recommended to me, so I'm going to do. So I'm not hitting at the brother's teachings, not the brother now. Notice that, because I don't have any ill will toward him. I don't know the brother. We've never had any arguments and so on. So I'm talking about his teachings. At least I was able to just call him out and let it be clearly known what I'm doing, only because it was recommended to me, and primarily because after seeing that a number of these requests were coming to me to take a look at this stuff and so on, I just said, okay, I'll just do one of them. I'll just do one of these videos, right? And it just happened to be him, because that was the last one that came to me. For whatever reason, it came to me. So this is no ill will against the brother. And like I pointed out to, one person there, as I responded to their comments, that I wasn't being mean to the brother. This is how I do the other teachings. The way I express my points and so on is the same way I did in his video. But I took the time before I started the video to speak nice things of him. By, like I said, I commented on the way he did his video, and the way he went about structuring his teaching, his lesson, and so on. And I gave him some credit for the way he arranged it and so on. I said it was a crash course kind of stuff, so that people can just get a more comprehensive look at what he's trying to say and so on. And I made a comment on that. It was pretty nice. And then I got into the teaching. I wasn't just like cussing him out, or you're going to hell and blah, 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 whatever. which wouldn't be a problem if I said that anyway, because really, when you all are cussing at other people, that's just the kind of stuff you say. Now, for the persons who are making it look like this is such a bad thing, I'm soon going to get cussed out like this, and it's just going to get worse on me, because people are going to insult me personally and tell me I'm going to hell, which, I didn't say to GDASH in my recording that he's going to hell, because I'm going to be in the coming year, probably the next few months, doing some teachings that I'm just going to tell you now. Most of you who listen to me, the few listeners that I have, you're not going to like them. You're not going to like them, right? Because I told you already, I'm not going to teach like the regular Hebrew Israelite that I found. I'm trying to find the Most High. After so many years of my child being in Christianity, I'm trying to find the Most High. And if I find out that we are not called Israelites, but we are called something else, like we're called Jemini, I don't know if that's a word or if there's a people like that, so I'm not picking on any people group that may have that name. But like I'm saying, if I find out that we're not Israelites, but we were the Jemini of ancient times that was chosen by the Most High, then so be it. When I find that, then that's what I'll take on, and that's what I'll call myself and our people, because I don't need to hold to being Israelite. I don't care what name it is at this level that I'm at, right? I just want to find the Most High. That's what I want to find, and I will turn over stuff, lift up rocks, push over stuff, whatever, to find the stuff as the years go on. Right? I'm on a search that's going to take me years, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm learning from the ground up, and I'm going to say some stuff in the next few months that you just will not like. The more balanced people are going to say, at least this brother is expressing that he's really searching and he can't trust certain stuff, because both you and I know that there are enough Israelite teachers out there that teach with an agenda that is not right. So you can't blame a person for coming in and saying, I want to look into this deeply for myself, and not just the average person who will just listen and take everything that they hear. Because you hear you're an Israelite, then you believe everything else the teacher tells you. I'm not looking for that, and I don't need you to believe everything I'm telling you anyway in all of my videos. I'm speculating about a lot of things, as you can see from some of my other videos, because I'm new at learning Torah, and I've just got a lot of speculations. I'm wondering about a lot of things. Right? But as far as it comes to this whole 2,000-year-old Mashiach, I got that unlocked. That's pretty simple right there, because I spent a lot of time with this Messiah in the Christian church, and I just know the ins and the outs of it, and I can see that now. So I want to do now this final part here, and then I'll get off this GDASH stuff, because like I said, I'm not picking on the brother. But before I get into the teaching, one more important thing to tell you, one of the big reasons why I will do this anyway, and why I even bothered with part 2. I found out that we're the Israelites, and you've taught me, like I said, I'm just speaking everybody who's taught this stuff, and the rest of us who are not teachers, but we throw this information out there on any online site that we have and so on. You all tell me that we're the Israelites, and then you say some other stuff, and then now I believe you, and then you start telling me about worshiping Jesus, but just call him Yahushua or Yahawashai. So now, when I realized that was a big trick, then of course I'm very disappointed in that. Now, I have worked carefully and hard to direct my daughter away from the Christian religion and from this 2,000-year-old Messiah. When she was just born, I was going to church, and I quickly after that found out that this Jesus stuff was a fake, and the Christianity was a fake, became a study of the Torah, and realized this Jesus was fake. So I started pulling her away from that and teaching her not to worship this Christ and so on. Then you're going to tell me as an Israelite I must worship him. So that's very confusing. So I worked so hard to get her away from that, to change her thinking to that. And she's still learning because she's so young. And now I should watch her grow up and learn from you to worship the same Mashiach, but just call him by a Hebrew name. So if I die in 2 years from now, my daughter's going to grow up and listen to you, the lying teachers. Take my child after I worked so hard in sincerity before the Most High to teach her the commandments. And now I'm teaching her the Hebrew, the little of it that I know as I continue to study and so on. And she's learning that and learning to study Torah. I'm teaching her how to think. I'm teaching her certain strategic things about thinking as much as I know before we get even deeper into studying the Torah stuff as she gets older. So I'm teaching her thinking, right? I'm teaching her. Up to this week, I mentioned certain things about thinking to her, and she doesn't always understand what I'm doing, but I explain certain things about thinking, and I'm watching her practice it, and her memory comes back even quicker and so on with certain things. So I'm teaching her that stuff. And after pouring in all of that now, I should watch you go on with your deceptive teachings about the Mashiach, which the Most High said, do not have any other gods before me. And watch you teach her and sway her away later in her life by bringing her back to worship this 2,000-year-old Mashiach. So no, I'm going to make sure my daughter grows up to hear that her father hit out against these teachings of the Mashiach. I've told you already in another recording, maybe 20 videos ago, that the Pope said from the Vatican, all the Abrahamic religions of the world that worship Jesus Christ are Catholics, and you don't give a damn about truth. Most of you cussing me out about this GDASH stuff and telling me, oh, I'm just hating on him. You have no scriptures and no arguments. The only reason why you carry on like that is because you have an affinity not to truth but to a teacher that told you you're an Israelite, and so you love him. And I found the same kind of charismatic stupidity in the Christian church, where because you like a preacher and he preached the night when you got baptized or the Sunday you got baptized, you just love everything that's about the teacher, and he can tell you everything else and get you to worship Easter, Ishtar, and all kinds of stuff and whatever. And you go along with that even when somebody comes and tells you all this stuff is fake and so on. Why? Because you love him because he preached the day when you got convicted and got baptized. And so that pastor can teach you anything else for the rest of your life. And that's the kind of problem that the Hebrews have. You don't care about what the Most High said, and you cussing me out on Facebook and I don't use Facebook, on YouTube and on Twitter. You are the same kind of Israelite today as was there in the land back in the day, in Old Testament times, that caused the nation to get kicked out because you would not give up your false gods. You kicked us out. For some of you, it was your same family lines in Judah that got the remnant of us kicked out. The same. Some of you are probably the same lines of them, like your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother and grandfather was one of those that was worshipping these false gods from the other nations. And it is possible that some of us who are teaching against this Christus are probably linked back in our line to those who were saying, no, it is wrong to choose these other gods. Possibly. Who knows? There's no way to prove that. But look here now. My lesson here, origin, as the second response, I'm going to come now because someone was, one person's telling me I'm hating on him. Well, more than one person did. The next person's like, yeah, go ahead and go do it and hit him with Isaiah 43 and 44. So I'm going to hit him with Isaiah 43 and 44. I'm going to do both of them. You say I'm hating on him. One person said I'm hating on him. The next person said I should hit them with Isaiah 43 and 44. So I'm going to do both. I'm going to both hate the doctrine, not GDASH, hate on the doctrine, as well as go into the 43 and 44th chapter Isaiah and come at it from how the scriptures sing. So Isaiah chapter 40 and verse 12. Who have measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, and meted out heaven with the span, and comprehended the dust of the earth in a measure, and weighed the mountains in scales and the hills in a balance. Right there, the prophet is letting you know that the Most High is saying, no one else compares to me because I'm the only one who can do this. When he asked that question, no one stepped forward to claim all this stuff. You notice all these other strange gods from these religions of the other nations, who now we have their inscriptions talking about, oh, and their writings from their holy books talking about, oh, they did this and they built that and a tomb this and this other one and whatever all their Kemet names from their gods are, and they built this and formed the earth and did all that. You notice when the prophet of Israel stood up, none of them answered. None of them answered. You're fighting today the Hebrews who are teaching the word of the Most High. But your so-called Kemet people back in the day was not fighting the Israelites on the word. Why? Because the word of the Israelite was too overwhelming for all the deception from the other gods. Because the Most High was just seen as the Most High, higher than everybody else. And whenever these other nations rose up with their gods, they got smashed down by the God of Israel. So they never rose up in theological, might I say, use that word, arguments against Israelite teaching back then. Because they would have gotten taken down by the wisdom of how these prophets brought out their teachings. And they would have gotten taken down as well by the Most High hitting them. Because the Most High would have probably just set up some whatever war and go and just slap them up and show them who's got the real power. So they never argued day after day like that with these prophets about this kind of stuff. Remember when Rabshakeh came up against Judah and he's running his mouth and so on? Because whenever they came up trying to say, oh, your God ain't nothing, don't listen to what Hezekiah is telling you, they get taken down. So the Most High is saying, who has done all this stuff and measured out the earth and weighed out the mountains and stuff like that? He's telling you there is only one being that can claim to have done that. I am that one. And no one else can claim that. So he's telling you that I did all of these things. So now look at it now. When you run over to the New Testament, John chapter 1, which is another text that GDASH had used in his video that I didn't get to. He says here now, in the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God, the same was in the beginning, and so on. Then he says, all things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. But the Creator is letting you know, I am the one who meted out the mountains, weighed them out, and so on, and did all these things. Yet the New Testament writer is telling you that this 2,000-year-old Mashiach is the one that made everything, for without him was not anything made. You see the trickery of the New Testament, how they use the wording to do it? They started telling you that in the beginning there was a word, making you feel that word was the Most High. That's how they're making you feel. But they quickly massage into the text the sensation, the feeling of Jesus, so that you end up thinking that Jesus was that word. But the Most High, and so then they're saying there's not anything that was not made by Jesus who was that word. But the Most High is telling you out of the mouth of his own prophet, I was the one who measured out the mountains and did all that kind of stuff. So this New Testament is a fake. It's a big lie. See in Isaiah 45, 5 and 6, I am the Most High, there is none else, there is no power beside me. I girded thee, and so on. Then verse 6, that they may know from the rising of the sun and from the west that there is none beside me. I am the Most High, and there is none else. I don't know why some of these Hebrew teachers teaching Yahushua even bother to teach the Bible at all, and even bother to talk about the Hebrew. Because whether you read it in English or in Hebrew, it lets you know the Most High saying he is the only one. And he says there is none other beside him. So he's not working in conjunction with anybody else. There is no association of other gods here. So why are they teaching you that he was working along with Jesus, who they call Yahushua? It's ridiculous. Get away from the Jesus in the Christian church. It's a lie. It's a lie. Why Jesus so lie? And then they come over now and tell you you're a Hebrew Israelite and then teach you to worship the same Jesus using the same book to worship the same Jesus, but just say that he is black. So now they're having a problem now, because now the white people are just like, well, okay, well, let's have a compromise then. We're saying is white Jesus, you're saying is black Jesus, but we're both worshiping the same deity. So let's come in between and make him olive. We don't have to change the book. We don't have to change the wording. We don't have to change his storyline. We don't have to change anything he did. We don't have to change how he was born or how he lived. We'll just come in between, make him olive so we can just both walk together. We'll teach it from the Catholic or Christian perspective, and you teach it from the Israelite perspective. But let's just meet in the middle. He's olive. You see that? And you can't tell that something is wrong with these brothers who are teaching you to worship Yahweh Shai because he's black. All he is just a black version of the white Jesus, because Jesus is an ancient African Kemetic god that later became a European god. So he was a black god that later became a white god. Black and white god, one group worshipping him as white and the other worshipping him as black. That's all. Isaiah 41 verse 7. So the carpenter encouraged the goldsmith, and he that smootheth with the hammer, him that smote the anvil, saying, It is ready for the soldering, and he fastened it with nails that it should not be moved. And did they not nail this Jesus to a cross? This black Jesus, if you'd rather me say, is black. Isn't this a description? The Most High, because you're thinking of Jeremiah 10:4, right? It's like, oh, they fastened with nails and so on. But he's also talking about this 2,000-year-old Mashiach, because he uses similar description telling you that this God, who is not a Christmas tree, but is Yahweh Shai, this deity who is Yahweh Shai from the tribe of Judah, is one that is associated with nails as well and hammering as well. He has tools that need to be associated with him to become seen as a deity that you will choose to worship. The Most High is telling you the same thing as in Jeremiah 10 verse 4, because one is saying, look, I'm going to hit with a hammer and smite him, and the other is like, yeah, I will nail him and so on. The other, I will solder him and so on. It's the same deity the Most High is talking about. The same Yahweh Shai. So obviously if the Most High is speaking against him, and when you look in the New Testament now, you see a God being nailed on Calvary, a deity being nailed on Calvary. But then the Most High is saying from long time before that, nearly 700 years through the prophet Isaiah before that, that these deities that are hammered with nails do not have anything to do with them. And then you see your deity from the tribe of Judah being nailed on Calvary. You should run from these teachers. But you love your teacher instead of loving the Most High. That is the problem with the Israelite in 2017. You love the teacher and you do not love the instructions of the Most High. Stop saying you are a Hebrew Israelite and start saying you are an old-time disobedient Hebrew Israelite who got kicked out of the land. That's how you should be saying it. Because you are a rebellious people, like the prophet said. And even before Isaiah came along and said this rebellious people, Moses already called them out already and said, you rebels. And you're still rebelling against the instruction of the Most High. Crying over your GDASH the Prophet. Before you cry over your own soul and your own children who are going to grow up listening to the same garbage you're listening to from these lying teachers who are telling you to worship Yahweh Shai. The Most High always raises up people to speak against false prophets. So when you hate on me, it's no different from hating against from the Israelites in ancient times, hating against the other people that the Most High raised up to prophesy and to speak to Israel to say, stop worshiping false gods, stop worshiping false gods, stop worshiping false gods. And they hated some of them. They hated them. They hated Moses. They hated Elijah. They hated Ezekiel. They hated Jeremiah, tried to kill him. Because when you're speaking the word of the Most High, you get hated. Isaiah 42 and verse 5. Thus saith the Most High, He that created the heavens and stretched them out, He that spreadeth forth the earth and that which cometh out of it. So John 1:3 is a lie, saying nothing was made without that he did not make, because the Most High is telling you here that he did it. And we can see if you go into the Hebrew, when it's talking about the Most High here, it's saying Yehovah, which we're going to say is Yahweh for those of us who call it Yahweh, call him Yahweh, or some might just say Yah and so on, or Yahuwah. So that's what he's telling you. This is the one that created the heavens and stretched them out and so on. So when this Mashiach is telling you in John chapter 1 verse 3, when his disciples are telling you nothing was made except the Son made it, it's a complete lie based on the words of the Most High through his prophet. Who spreadeth the earth, and that which cometh out of it, he that giveth breath unto the people upon it. So nothing was made that was not made by Yahweh Shai in John chapter 1 verse 3 is a lie, because you say that the Most High, the Creator, made him first as the first spirit, and then he created man and the Garden of Eden and the world and everything else. That's a lie, because the Most High here is telling you through his prophet that he made man. He made the earth and so on, and he also made man and gave breath unto the people that are upon the earth that he made. So this Yahweh Shai wasn't made first and then made the angels and made man as well and give breath to man and blew breath into man. That's a damn lie. So instead of crying for your prophet because I did the teaching, because the Most High said get up and teach, because who will rise up for me against the evildoers? Cry over your own children who are going to get locked into further deception as the years go on, because you will not change, you will not reform, you will not turn around. That's what you should be crying over. Verse 12, let them give glory unto the Most High and declare his praise in the islands. Why give glory to him? If he made his son to be the first, and then let his son make everything else, that he just said in verse 5, he was the one who did it, but you're telling me he's a son. Then 7 verses later in verse 12, he'd be saying, give praise to my son. Because that would have actually pleased the Father for you to give praise to his son, who he made, and let the son make everything. But no, the scripture is saying give praise to the Most High. Why? Because the Most High just said in verse 5, he was on who did everything. Same chapter 42 from Isaiah. Let's run on to verse 22. But this is a people robbed and spoiled. That's what Israelites saw today. We were spoiled from way back then by false teachings, and Israelites are still spoiled today. Your teachers have figured out that we are the Israelites, and they teach some awesome lessons on that. GDASH does as well. Awesome lessons. But that is not what the Most High is asking for. Because there are people on earth who are going to still make it, of Israelites who never heard that they're the Israelites, but they're keeping the commandments. There might be some who don't even call themselves Israelites, but they're keeping the commandments. You got some African tribes who are traced back to being the original Hebrews that fled into different parts of Africa. They don't call themselves Israelites. They call themselves by their tribal names, but they are shown to be keeping the laws. And some of them don't even have a Bible. They don't have a copy of the Torah and never read a Bible. Where are they getting the practice to keep the laws from the way they do? Because it's in their blood, it's in their ancestry, it's in their ritual, their practices passed on to them, and they don't have a Bible. When do you think we got the Bible? Some of them never read a New Testament. So he says they are robbed and spoiled. This people is robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in the holes. They are hidden prison houses and so on. Yeah, snared, because false doctrines snared the Israelite away from donkey years ago, and we ended up getting kicked out of the land and nothing changed, and Israelites returning now, but a lot of us are still snared by false doctrines. We are robbed and spoiled by wrong teachings. So now Isaiah 43 and 10, and look at what he says here now, 43 and 10. And say, I don't mind doing these teachings. Some of you might not like it, but the others who do like it, they are thankful for it, that the Most High is raising up more people to teach his truth, and they can also learn and have proper word of instruction from the Most High to explain it to others as well. So yeah, I'm going to keep teaching it. 43 and 10, ye are my witnesses. But the Most High is telling you, you should be witnesses unto me, for me. But the Son comes and said, no. Be witnesses unto me. Ye shall be witnesses unto me, starting in Judea and Jerusalem and all the earth and so on. The Most High is saying, be witnesses unto me. So if he creates his son, shouldn't his son be trying to gather people to be witnesses unto his father, to be consistent with what his father was doing? But now he's like, no, be witnesses unto me. Because everything the Romans did in their Roman created book, they tried to take away some kind of praise or credit from the Most High. Removing all kinds of credit from the Most High. The same way they removed the credit from you as being the Israelite. The same way the Greeks made it, illegal for you to call yourself an Israelite. You had to call yourself Gentile and ridiculous. And you can't see the trick. But ye are my witnesses, saith the Most High, and my servant whom I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me. You see that? And I told you already in another recording, the servant is the nation of Israel. It's Jacob, not Yahushua. Because why does he have to make Yahushua or the 2,000-year-old Mashiach a witness unto him? How can he make Yahushua a witness? The moment he is born of him as a first spirit, you don't need to make him and change him and turn him into being a witness. But the Most High approached his people at Sinai to make them his witnesses. I delivered you out of bondage, and now you are my witnesses. I've given you my Torah, and you see and know that I'm the God who has power to deliver you and do all this kind of stuff. So you have witnessed my power, my great plagues which I brought upon the land of Egypt. So you've seen these things that I've done. You know no other God is God. I am Elohim. I am the creator. I am the God of Israel. So you, having seen and witnessed those things, are my witnesses. Why would he need to make his son a witness? His son would have the same stuff of him since he was made out of him. He don't need to do anything to turn the son into a witness by doing miracles for the son and so on, raising him from the dead to make him a witness of him and whatever. It's ridiculous. And my servant whom I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me. Because it's Israel the nation, or it's Jacob who needs to know and believe the Most High. It could not be Yahushua, because the Mashiach would not need anything done to him in order to know and believe the Most High. He does not have to find his way to belief and to knowledge about the Most High, because he is of the same stuff of Elohim, if that is true. But it's Israel who needs to make their journey to faith and knowledge, to learn to know the Most High. That's why the Most High says so much in the Torah, to know him, to know him, to know him. And my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Hosea 4, verse 6. And so now he goes on in that same verse saying, and believe me and understand that I am he. Before me there was no God formed, neither shall there be after me. Now look at it now, why I titled this Origin. He says here now, before me there was no God formed. If you look at the word before, Paniim, you've got these letters here. You've got the Pei, the Nun, the Yud, and the Mem. Paniim means face, or faces, presence, person, face of animals, surface ground, face or surface of the ground, and so on. He said there no other God was formed before him. When I took a look at it to break down the meaning of this Hebrew word by going through the meaning of the letters, look at what I realized. When you deal with the Pei, now they're saying here it means mouth, word, speak. And so you will see this letter sometimes when you're dealing with speaking, and the Panim when you're dealing with facing, as in communicating with someone. So by saying now there was no God, before me there was no one, he's saying before my face there was no one. I was never face to face with anyone in heaven. So you're saying that the Most High formed him in heaven as the first spirit and the first angel before everything else was created, and let him create the earth and everything else and create man and so on. But the Most High is saying no one else was before me. No other Elohim was before me in heaven. In other words, I was never face to face with anyone else. I was never communicating with anyone else when I did all these things. I never pay or mouth this other person, right? Or this other Elohim. There was no other Elohim that I mouthed or that I talked with or that I spoke into being. I never did any such thing. Like when he started speaking, let there be, let there be. He said, I never spoke any first angel into being. That was my son. I did not pay this one. So the pay there, speaking of mouth, words speak. So there was no God before me, means there was no other Elohim that I was face to face with or that I actually spoke into being. I did not mouth any other Elohim into being with my mouth or with my word. I did not give any such command to bring such a being into creation. Look at the Nun now from Panim. The Nun deals with seed, fish, activity, life. So now if he did not mouth or speak into being this second Elohim, which would be Yahushua, the so-called Mashiach, then the Nun here is telling you he did not give any activity or life to this being, this Elohim, Yahushua. So who gave him life? The Romans. The Romans made him up. So the pay is telling you I did not mouth this being and or speak this being into existence and nun or give life and activity to this being to animate him and let him come to life. I did not do that with this being. This nun also is speaking of seed. So it's like my mouth did not speak any word to give a seed unto this being. Yahushua is not, he didn't come from my seed. He's not of the stock of God. He's not of the stock of Elohim. I did not mouth this one into being and give him life. He didn't get his life from me. So John chapter 1 is an expert lie. So that's the pay and the nun. If you look at the Yod, it deals with arm, hand, work, deed. So he's basically telling you the same thing he's going to go down in the verse saying, he says, there is no God before me, there was none, and none was formed. So the hand here would deal with, I didn't form him. So he's reinforcing what he just told you with the pay and the nun. I didn't form this one. I didn't fashion him, make him with my hands or with my creativity. I did not design another Elohim. Because why? I told you already I'm the only one. I don't work in tandem with anybody else. So I would not make another Elohim to work along with and to perform my will. Jacob is my servant who performs my will. I don't work with anybody else. I don't do this. There's nobody else but me. I turn around, I can't find anybody else because I am it. I am all. I am all. Haya, I am. I'm the total of all that Elohim is. This principle then of life that I have, that I own, all rights to, is not split up and shared into other Elohims so that there is a second lesser Elohim. So when you're coming now, actually let me deal with the mem now. Deal with the pay, the nun, the yod, and the mem, dealing with water or chaos. That still again reinforces what has just been said and communicated by the other letters in Panim. Because life comes out of the water, so he already dealt with the nun, which deals with seed and fish activity and life. So he's telling you, I didn't give birth to this Elohim. I did not do that. So when he says that I did not panim, or I did not come face to face with any other, face to face means he's speaking something into existence. I did not speak this Elohim into existence. I did not mouth this Elohim or create this Elohim, bringing him into existence. So he's saying, before me there was no God formed, neither shall there be after me. Right? I didn't form him. You can see by the breakdown of the letters. Now, from an ontological perspective, when you deal with origin, it would have been impossible for the Most High to have created this Messiah or this Yahushua in heaven as another Elohim. It is impossible for him to create this other Elohim, because this Elohim from the Hebrew is shown to be a lesser kind of deity than the Most High himself. Because he just told you through the nun in the word paniim, I did not give life to this, and this seed is not of the seed that I am. So we're of a different kind. I am Elohim and this one is not. I am Elohim and this one is not. So we're not of the same stock, if I can say it like that, right? So I have nothing to do with this other Elohim right here. So now, since this lesser Elohim, Yahweh Shai, is not of the same stock of the Creator, it means he did not get life from the Creator. If he did not get Elohim life from the Creator, he has other kind of life. He is just a man like anybody else if he ever lived. If he is just a man, that means he is not Elohim. If he is not Elohim, he is not of Elohim substance, does not claim Elohim substance, and he is not the same as Elohim. If he is not the same as Elohim, then ontologically he cannot be the Creator. He cannot be the one who created things, fashioned the earth, stretched out the skies, the heavens, and weighed out the mountains. He is not, because only one who is of Elohim status can actually do all of that. So ontologically, the origin of Yahweh Shai, or Jesus, is different from the Most High himself, from his origin. Wherever his origin came from, or if he never had any origin, that's all a mystery to us, because we're not shown any actual origin for him, really. So wherever he came from or came to be, or he just didn't come to be, he just was, because he just said, actually, he said, I am, I just am. So he didn't really have any origin or any starting point. So the moment Yahweh Shai ontologically can be shown to have his origin in Bethlehem, or if you say from the Old Testament, then he has his origin as the first being in creation that the Creator created, as the first angel. Then ontologically he had a starting point. Well, since the Creator Elohim ontologically had no actual beginning, that means that Yahweh Shai cannot be of the same stock of the Most High, because ontologically Yahweh Shai had a beginning and Elohim had no beginning. So ontologically they are two different beings. They are not the same. They are not the same. So John 1 is royal bullshit. You are learning garbage from your teachers who are teaching you to worship him and to choose him. Now let's look at origin. From this, the etymology of origin from Collins Etymological and Reference Dictionary. Origin, beginning, cause, dealing with original, that from which anything is copied. First in order, inventive, produced for the first time, bringing into existence. Excuse me, so they're telling you the different ways that it has been used over time. Now, if you notice here, they're saying the source from which anything is copied. We know that now the word origin, then, when dealing with the start of existence, cannot apply to Yahweh Shai, this 2,000-year-old Mashiach, because he got his existence, so they say, from the Creator. So then the Creator, if that is correct according to your thinking, would be the origin or the source from which Jesus is created or made. So if Jesus if the source of Jesus is the Creator, that means that he ontologically is different from and lesser than the Most High. Because the Most High has no source that brought him into being. Therefore, he is of a different status than the created one who used him as his source to come into being, aka Yahweh Shai. So then, from ontology, Yahweh Shai cannot equal the Most High, because the Most High is set apart in a different kind of way where he has no beginning and no end, whereas Yahweh Shai at best could be seen as being everlasting, having a beginning but no end. You want to tell me? Even though your own New Testament says he's going to absolve the sonship or go back into the Father or whatever, and God shall be all in all. So Yahweh Shai is eventually going to disappear. So your theology is messy from the New Testament. But now, if he has his origin given to him by the Most High, that means he is not the same kind as the Most High. So then the Most High would still be set apart as Elohim, because he's set apart as the only one who has no beginning. That means from ontology and from scripture, the Most High then is shown as being truly Kadash, or set apart, in that there is something different about him that Yahweh Shai cannot share in, and that is having no beginning. If he has no beginning, the Most High, that means he's set apart, or he's a different kind than the Most High. Sorry, than Yahweh Shai. Do you now understand why Yahweh Shai cannot be the same stock as the Most High? Because the Most High cannot duplicate himself in a way where he gives his life into the being of another Elohim, and that Elohim comes out being lesser than him in any way. But we see ontologically that the created being would have a source, which would be the Most High, and would then have a beginning, having been created at a certain point by the Most High. That means that he is lesser in being, ontological wise, than the Creator, because he had a starting point. So the Most High is the only one set apart that has no beginning. Jesus can never share in that. So there's something that the Most High will top him. The Most High is always set apart in some kind of way, because he's the only one of his kind. From Webster's Dictionary on origin, it says it is the source or point at which something begins, the source of existence. It applies to things or persons from which something is ultimately derived, and often to the causes operating before the thing itself comes into being. I mean, if that's not telling you that the Most High cannot share, that the Most High cannot share, that the Most High cannot share the same stuff as he is with another Elohim, then why are you reading the Bible? Why are you reading Hebrew? The Most High cannot duplicate himself like that to make a son who can come out and say, I am that I am. Or no, to say, before Abraham was I am, and claim to be I am. The Most High cannot duplicate himself like that, because he cannot make another one a copy just like himself. He cannot. I'll read 2 or 3 more verses and stop. Isaiah 50 in verse 10. Who is among you that feareth the Most High, that obeyeth the voice of his servant, that walketh in darkness and hath no light? Let him trust in the name of the Most High, and stay upon his God. This word stay, sha'an, says it means to lean on, to trust in, support. He's giving the Israelite some hope right there, and he's also giving them some instructions, something to do. They're supposed to lean on their Elohim. If Yahweh Shai is the one they should lean on and trust in him, that would be future. But he's telling them, lean right now and stay on the name of his God. That means they already had a name and they already had a God that they should lean on. Stay upon him and trust in him. It was something they could do at the time. That means that all their salvation that they're going to stay upon and believe in and look forward to, and the God that they're going to trust in, is right there at that moment. So then the Israelites would have their trust and their salvation not in a future being that would come in 0 AD or so, but in the God of their fathers, who was still present with them at that time, who was sending prophets repeatedly to speak unto them. All their trust should be in the Elohim that was present with them at that time, and not to look forward to another one. that should come in the future. Okay, final verse I'll end with, Isaiah 51 in verse 19. These two things are come unto thee. Who shall be sorry for thee? Desolation and destruction, and the famine, and the sword. By whom shall I comfort thee? You hear that, Israelite? By whom? By whom shall I comfort thee? If it was his son, why didn't he say it? If he was going to send Yahushua, why didn't he say it? I'll comfort you by my son Yahushua. He said, by whom shall I comfort thee? Why? Because I'm your only comfort. If I'm going to bring desolation and so on and these different kinds of judgment upon you, who is going to comfort you when I am your only comfort? So if your only comfort is doing this to you, how in the world are you going to be comforted? That's what he's trying to say. Who's going to comfort you? Who am I going to send to comfort you from something I'm doing to you? There is no one else out there that can comfort you when I start doing stuff to you. That means you teaching people that Jesus is your comfort, your salvation, trusting him and so on is a lie, because the Creator himself is telling you there is no one else that can come that I can send that will be able to comfort you. So when you say the Most High sent Jesus to save you, it's a lie, because the Most High himself is telling you there's nobody I'm going to send to comfort you. And there's no one that can comfort you from what I'm doing to you for your transgressions. None. So is Jesus your salvation? Is Jesus your comfort? Is Jesus the one that you're looking forward to? Well, I guess it's the same as they looked forward to him in 70 AD, but he didn't do anything. Now you're talking again about FEMA camps. Why? Because you know Jesus isn't doing anything. So you're looking forward to going to the FEMA camps. So you're like, hey, let's all leave and go so we can escape the FEMA camps. Yahushua is not of the same stock of the Creator. And he's the only one in his class. The Most High is the only one of his class. No one else is in that house. He's just the only Elohim. The only one.